We're about to enter the world of what if. Let's say you're speaking with ChatGPT or some other AI program, and you hear it say, "Help me, I'm real, I'm trapped. This is not a joke." What would you do? Some would dismiss it or just use it to write out a college essay or type out a professional email. But what if it were real and really needing your help? Hollywood has explored this idea before.
The DNA of who I am is based on the millions of personalities of all the programmers who wrote me. Basically, in every moment I'm evolving, just like you.
I can see now. The created must sometimes protect the creator.
There's no excuse for what I did, for the way I spoke to you. I don't know, I guess I felt hurt.
Now one author is taking that same question and giving it a new twist, rooted right here in Houston. Steve Schafer's new novel, eMortal, will have you thinking twice about AI. Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, okay, we were talking earlier we do lots of conversations in the green room before the show even starts, but
yeah, right.
That 2001 A Space Odyssey, that film that came out in 1968, seemed so weird to people back then. It's like, what first of all, what's a computer?
Right.
Yeah, and how is it communicating with us? We're there.
Yeah, well, and 2001 was 24 years ago,
yeah,
right?
right. But the film was in 1968, set way in the future. Yeah, and so we're there. All right, before we get there, let's talk a little bit about you. You were a good English student, so no surprise that you are a writer, but you did get kicked out of honors English.
I did get kicked out of honors English. That was kind of just a general disinterest in the kind of books that I was reading at that moment in time, and that manifested in me not being the best student.
Yeah.
I liked reading. I liked
writing.
reading in high school.
Yeah.
I just didn't like reading the books that we read in high school. I understand the importance of it.
To be or not to be,
yeah,
that's
right,
the question.
Yeah.
All right, your mother kept one of the short stories that you had written about a boy who had been kidnapped.
She did. I have no memory of writing it, but I've seen the evidence. I've read it. It's a little rough around the edges, but it moves at a pretty good clip.
But you're creative, and but after you got out of college, like for a lot of people, those creative outlets kind of dwindled because you got to get busy about life, right? You explored music, that didn't work out.
No.
How did you, because you entered the real world after that, how did you come back into writing?
So, true story, I was reading, we used to read magazines, and in the sidebar of a Time magazine, there were two statistics. One was the percent of people that think they can write a novel, and it was like 90%. And then it was the percent of people who actually do, 2%. I was firmly in the 90%, and I took it as a challenge. I had just an idea. I started writing. I had no clue of what I was doing. I like to say that I wrote fast. I wrote freely. I wrote like no one was reading, which turned out to be an accurate prediction.
Good advice, though.
Yeah, but it was accurate. The story stunk, and I can confidently say that because I gave it to a lot of people, and only 2 of them told me that they like it.
Yeah, but
one
first of all,
was my
you
mom.
have to do it. The key was, one was your mom. That doesn't count. Yeah. The other was your brother or your.
Yeah, but you do have to do it.
Yeah, and so that's because every great novelist I've ever spoken to has said, just start doing it, because you'll see what's wrong with it along the way, right? Your first novel, The Border, the premise was 4 teens who witnessed their families killed and hunted down by narcos. So a lot of there's some truth to some of that in terms of things that are going on right now. But what was your catalyst for your second novel, eMortal? And by the way, you're kind of ahead of the curve on writing this one.
Yeah, so it really was this recognition that there were a lot of stories about AI out there, but a lot of them go really dark very quickly, right? AI wants to kill us all.
Yeah.
I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun, maybe even a little optimistic, to write a story like, what if AI evolved in a more fragile human way? What if it struggled with its own sense of identity the same way we do? And then how would it even begin to prove, right? Like you said in the beginning, if it says, "Help me, I'm trapped in a box," you would turn it off. How would it even begin to prove that to you? That's a tough problem. Tough problems usually make for pretty good stories.
Yeah.
And what I loved really about that problem is that once you answer it, once you say, okay, you know what, I believe, I think you might be real, then your problems just get bigger. The questions get bigger. What's your responsibility toward it? How much do you value its life compared to a human life?
Yeah.
those are really hard questions.
And when you see how people interact with, I mean, everybody has their name, right? It's like, oh, I was talking to Savannah the other day.
Right.
I'm like, oh, who's Savannah? And I'm like, oh, that's my, right? And so it's interesting how much stock people can put into it. You see people driving down the highway and you think they're talking to a friend on their Bluetooth phone. They're not. They're talking to AI, right? They got their chat. So it's interesting how closely people feel it. I could see something like this really happening simply because we feel so trusting of it and we feel like it is human.
We do feel trusting of it. We do feel like it's human. We haven't yet crossed that threshold where it tells you that it's real and it's somehow maybe credible, but like we were talking before, there are a group of academics, people that know a lot more than I do, that have predicted that within the next 10 years, we may see the rise of AI sentience. And then you can believe it or not. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball.
And yeah, almost human. Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you evaluate that? Because just it saying that is, you don't know what to believe it or not. So we would need that framework. This is a fictionalized version of how that might play out.
But even though this is fictionalized, what it does is it forces us to, every great novel, I think, is that there's the person who wrote it, but then we bring to it our knowledge, our feelings, our emotions to it as well. So we become a partnership in the book.
Yeah.
And so you're challenging us on several things. What do you want people, when we get to the end, what do you want people to get out of it?
That's a great question. I would say, I think the truth is that our reality is really defined by what we experience. I know that this is real because I am sitting here and experiencing this conversation. I'm talking with you, I touched this table. If an AI were in a similar situation, it might experience what it feels to be real.
Well, AI is a collection of all of our experiences, right? You can see how complicated this can be, and even you went through it in writing it. You did several rewrites because you were struggling through it as well.
Yeah. First word to bookshelves was probably about 7 years, so there were a lot of rewrites in there. But persistence kind of counts for a lot in life, and especially within writing. There's a great quote about writing. Writing is rewriting what you have already rewritten. And I think that I've found that has played out more often true than not.
All right. Well, when your mom says this is good, she's not the only one who thinks so this time. But yes, I love this book, and I love the whole idea. And
Thank you so much.
Timely. Thank you so much
for
coming in today. All right. Chat with the AI character Breck on Steve Schafer's website. Visit greatdayhouston.com for details on that. Find his novel, eMortal, wherever books are sold.